To help us put today's Senate votes and the rest of the week in focus, we're joined in Washington by political analyst John Dickerson. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Anthony.
John, how does today's vote on Don't Ask, Don't Tell, how do you think it's going to affect perception of the president? Can he call this a win?
Well, it's definitely a civil rights win for him, and it's a win politically, particularly with liberals in his party, and they've been angry with him lately. They were angry with him on this issue in particular because they felt like he wasn't pushing hard enough, but the White House view is that the president's calm, deliberate pressure was what worked. He wanted the military to issue its report first. That would allow Congress to feel comfortable, so the White House is feeling like that strategy worked this time.
Earlier in the week, the president signed an extension of the Bush-era tax cuts. He appears to be positioning himself as a champion of compromise. Is there any evidence it's working?
In this case, he put together an agreement with Republicans, said he wanted Congress to come along, and they did. So in this case, it works. But one of the reasons it worked is because they decided to forget about the budget deficit, and they won't be able to do that next year. That will make a lot of the deals much harder because they'll have to find a way to pay for them, and that will make the kind of agreements that happened this time much, much harder.
But is it a reelection strategy, do you think, John?
It is a possible reelection strategy, in part because the White House is looking for those voters in the middle and independents who care about getting things done, who want to see the president build consensus, and that's what he did in this case. Usually
in lame duck sessions like this, we see Congress paralyzed. Why has this been so productive this session?
They had to pass the tax cuts. If there wasn't an agreement on tax cuts, everybody's taxes would have gone up, and that would have been a disaster. And also, you had some things Democrats wanted to bring up that actually had bipartisan support, like Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And finally, also, we're pretty far away from the next election, so that makes politicians a little bit less nervous about the verdict from the voters. Now, all of that may give some momentum to the last remaining issues that'll be brought up next week. The START treaty looks like it might have a shot to go through, and then there's the bill that has to do with 9/11 first responders. That looks like it might have a more difficult time, but there's a little glimmer of hope that even that might make it through.
All right. John Dickerson in Washington. Thanks.
Thanks, Anthony.